So, let's get to it. Alright, so if each of you would like to provide an opening statement, head, whoever wants to go first.
Uh, okay, 1 second. Alright, so I'm gonna be perfectly honest with everyone in this room. I was not expecting to be the one sitting here across from Novak on this particular night. Unfortunately, the previous candidate, our dear General Ashton Ludowitz, did pass away last night fighting the Cossacks.
Rest in peace.
As is a fitting way to go out for such a distinguished general and Farron. But I won't dwell on that too much. That'll be for the funeral later on. But anyways, my purpose here is very simple. The people of this nation stand at a crossroads. There is violence, there is ethnic tension. Even when the Cossack threat has been neutralized, there is still conflict between Farrens and Cossacks and other groups within the nation. And frankly, the nation cannot go on in its current state without major changes. And I propose that I be the one to make these changes as a representative of one of the communities that finds itself under fire from certain groups. And that is my opening statement.
Alright, thank you. Now for Novak.
Fellow citizens, my message to you is simple. I am the only candidate on this stage that has historically progressed this nation in a meaningful way. For example, I was the one that was in the ears of all the people around the Cossack debate with the peace talks. I've been involved in numerous projects across Urbis, and I also was the one that wrote the original draft of the Constitution, believe it or not, before Bigley spearheaded it with her wonderful additions. So, when the socialists refused to play ball and form our government in the past, I took it head on while trying to get their input every step of the way. When Urbis lost its wonderful mayor, Chatton, of course, I stepped up and did everything I could to make Urbis a better city. And I want to carry that on to the rest of the nation. So, yeah, I guess that's why I'm running for president. So, thank you.
And actually, mentioning the treaty, that will be our first question.
Speak up, Bigley.
The first question will be on the treaty. Start with Gilger first. What are your thoughts on the treaty?
You're asking me what my thoughts on the treaty are.
Yes.
So I will start off by saying that the team that assembled outside of Fort Sac to sign the treaty did a wonderful job of providing the nation with a peace that it so desperately needs to progress. I believe that it was a great step forward. I was not really in this country when the Cossack War occurred, and so, but I understand that it was a very traumatic experience for many people, and I'm very glad to see that we have begun to move past it. That being said, I do see some issues with it. Firstly, or not just with it, but just with government policy in general. But I'll start with my one main issue with the treaty, which is the treatment of Ritterhelm. Ritterhelm was as a town formed by Farrens within the territory which now makes up Cheva Proja. The town was made up of 3 individuals. I believe it was founded by Toyota. And in my belief, the town should have been left alone. They should have been given an option to stay where they were allowed, where they had settled, where they had set up homes. Instead, the government essentially sold them out. They gave them two choices, which is to integrate with the ethnic Cossack provincial government or to leave. And they chose to leave because that was the only option that the government had given them. I believe that this was a tremendous misstep, and unfortunately, it is not a misstep that can easily be reversed. In terms of general government policy, I simply ask that the people who are responsible for the death of General Lutwitz be brought to justice, as this crime occurred in Cossack territory and was perpetuated by Chevar warriors. I just ask that the government do something about it, and I, as president, will do something about it, and that is all.
Thank you. Now, Novak?
I think Mr. Gilger here brings up some very good points about the treaty that I would like to address. Namely, the point about the town of Ritterhelm being lost to the Cossacks. Being involved in the treaty process myself, I very much understand the tensions between the Cossacks and the Farans, and what led us to, this whole incident in the first place. What you should all know is that one of the primary demands that the Cossacks had for this peace treaty was to have this undemocratic system where they would have a free Senate seat no matter what, no matter who voted for whatever, in our Senate. The only way we were able to shoot this down was to provide them concessions on this treaty. One of those concessions, unfortunately, was the Ritterhelm question, which was, the whole integrate with us or you have to leave. What you should all understand, though, is that according to this treaty, they were given the choice, they were still given the choice to integrate with the provincial government, which is still under the foreign government, or they would leave. Either way, they would be compensated with either 400 lira total for relocating, or 600 if they integrated into the provincial government. And even then, they still chose to leave. So they were still given a choice, but it was still not an ideal situation. That being said, I think the treaty went pretty much as well as you'd expect. Obviously, the Cossacks were not easy to work with, and this took 2 tries to actually get it right. And honestly, this is kind of just the best that we can do right now. But we have a big future plans with integrating the Cossacks into our government and making them all foreign people. We don't want any more Cossacks, and I think pushing for this is only going to lead to more war. And that's something I don't believe anyone wants at this point. So, but it should be known that the Liberal Conservative Party was the one to spearhead these peace talks, time and time again. With the Unity Party, we had General Ashton constantly pushing for conflict. While the Cossacks did nothing to help this situation, we were the ones that were always coming forward to begin peace talks with them.
Can I have a response?
I was about to ask for your response.
So, I appreciate that the liberal conservatives were the main party behind this peace talk, but let me remind the people in here that the socialist members of the government, including the current incumbent president, had essentially sat out this entire thing by choice and have essentially been MIA for the past, I don't know how long. So there was one socialist senator, and he was also very, if I remember correctly, very much a warmonger. And I understand that Ashton was very pro-conflict. And this is a position that the United Party will not be carrying on into its future. It was a position that I always disagreed with, and you can read my screed that I created when I first entered this nation, Reform, where I say specifically that the Cossacks needed to be respected as equal citizens within this nation. And I appreciate the peace. I am not going to try to rock the boat on this sort of stuff. However, I just like it to be known that while the liberals and the conservatives were in charge of that, there wasn't really as much of an alternative force. And you still failed to address how you would deal with the bringing justice to the murderers of Ashton, because as much as a controversial a figure as they were, they did not deserve to be murdered like that.
Novak, any comments?
Yeah, sure. So regarding the justice over Ashton's death, it should be known that as president, we would have no power to actually push for justice with Ashton. That is the job of the judicial system that we have in place. However, I do think that Ashton's killers should be brought to justice, and they should be perpetrated to the extent of the law as we currently have it. But I do not think they should be treated as an other. I don't think they should be treated any less than any other foreign that would be in the
Neither
same
do
position.
I. Just to be clear, neither do I. Go on.
And I mean that's pretty much it as far as pushing that justice for Ashton. But it should be known that, while the Socialist Party wasn't doing anything, that just goes to show how much the liberal conservatives actually care about this nation. They've been active. They've been always constantly working towards the betterment of the people. And, we're usually quiet about it. We're not always promoting our party, looking for new members. We're just quietly working behind the scenes, trying to make things happen. Because that's what we like to do. We like to get things going. We like to make things happen. And that's part of our platform. But another part of our platform has always been peace with the Cossacks. While we have had racist elements of our party before, that has never, ever been the party line. We have always strove for no conflict in our nation. We always want peace and unity and integration of all foreigners. Whereas the United Party, previously the PPSU, have constantly kind of shifted from if they want peace or war or, this policy or that policy. They haven't really been able to settle on anything because, they're a newer party and they're constantly trying to figure out what works for them. But, we know what we want in this country and we're going to get it done. So that's why I've always been supportive of this party, even when I haven't agreed with all of its party members. So.
Thank you. Gilder?
Yeah, so I'm very happy to hear that your party has finally shirked off its racist past, which the PPSU, as far as I can remember, hasn't had. There's been issues with Cossacks that related to their particular actions against Ashton, but we were never... I never called for that. So... But besides that, you still have members within your party that were on record calling for the deaths of Cossacks, as well as for the canceling of other cultural festivals. So while your official platform, for you personally, may not include any of these sort of problematic elements, your party members that are still in your party, that has not been condemned, are still problematic. And that is all.
Okay, and a member of the audience has asked to speak.
Mr. Gilder, John McHale consistently denies that the PPSU or the United Party has a racist past. But on the other hand, it is, as is evident to the rest of us, their former leader, Ashton von Lutwitz, has publicly advocated and called for the death of all Cossacks frequently. Now, if the point that they made, if the point that they wish to make is that now that Ashton is dead, they have no racist members of their party, they just search to prove.
Shut up.
It just serves to prove that their party has no real platforms, and they just make up policy whenever they see fit. Spineless electoralists.
That's
Thank you.
rich coming from you, but okay.
You're here.
Do not insult a sitting senator of the Senate.
And now I will look for our next question.
I would like to at least mention on this topic that it is curious that when Ashton was running the party, he had the full support of the ultra-nationalist movement that has been festering within our nation. And I do believe that is still a core support of the United Party today.
Frankly, if it is, then I haven't heard anything from them since Ashton died, so...
Ashton only died, I mean, a day or so ago. I mean, that's not really enough time to hear much about, a core piece of support in your party.
I suppose.
That is your voter base.
If you say so. I'm not sure if that's the supporter base for me. I don't know who's the supporting for you, but all the capitalists and all the businessmen and all the other nationalists who weren't on Ashton's side seem to be perfectly fine supporting you. So
This class of people you speak of doesn't exist. Just simply does not exist. We do not have multitudes of businesses, whereas you have Los Pollos Hermanos.
those are perfectly good businessmen. They are people who I helped personally. So
It's fine to have perfectly good businessmen, but we don't have any businessmen to speak of. We don't have that sort of support. We don't have a super strong capitalist monopolist. We don't have that kind of supporter base.
I guess that's fair enough. It's
Are-
just the racists.
Are you two finished now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to make clear I'm not a racist. I just dislike their culture.
You're definitely a
their race.
racist.
Out of order.
Pipe down.
Nicola
audience.
is not a racist, he's a respectable senator and a proud patriot.
And a racist.
Yeah.
And a racist.
Patriot.
Next question.
And a
Next
pedophile.
Whoa.
He only loves women above the age of 18.
God,
I agree.
shut up. Next question. Talking about ethnic conflict, what will you do to help resolve the conflict between the citizens of Urbis and the citizens of Providence?
Can I speak on this first?
Yes, you can go first.
Firstly, I wanted to say that our conflict, the people of Providence, our conflict, is not really with the city of Urbis. As much as I have, I respect the people of Urbis who have built this wonderful, beautiful city, as much as it seems like it might be an empty husk on some days. This city is not our target of our ire. It is the senator who represents this city, who has constantly caused issues with the people of Providence. People are being assaulted in the church, people are being assaulted in the streets, and it goes both ways. And it's very unfortunate. And it's something that I hope to resolve very quickly as president. And it's by having a summit between the peoples of these cities so that we can come to some agreement, because this very much cannot continue. If legal action needs to be pursued, then so be it, but I hope and I believe that it won't fully be necessary. And that's all.
Thank you. Novak?
As far as the issue regarding Urbis versus Providence so far is, we actually do have a system to solve this, and it's not anything that we personally are going to implement. It's the justice system that we already have today. If they have any issues personally with Nicola, they can sue him. It is that simple. If he is breaking the law in Providence, then they can sue him to the court of law. That is simply how it works in our justice system here. We do not need militant goons such as the Grey Panther Party attacking Think in the streets or in the streets of Urbis or Providence. We don't need local militias enforcing their laws. We need the justice system to do its job. And we need people to recognize that the justice system is there for them, so they need to use it. Justice system can't work if you're not actually using it. And that's all.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say that I agree that the justice system is there to solve these issues, but that's just what it's there for. That's just what the ideal version of things are. But in reality, the justice system is incredibly backed up, and a lot of these issues aren't resolved until the next issue comes up, and it just snowballs, and it forces things like the meeting at Providence last night, where we agreed to have Think banned from,
illegal ban.
Nicola
Stop talking out of the line!
prohibited from the town because it's just such a issue, and the courts are too busy, too backed up, and according to some Providencians, too biased to be trusted to get this issue resolved. I mean, I'm just saying, this is the perspective of the people who live there. They have no trust in the justice system, and it's a trust that must be restored.
I'm being threatened with a bow by fucking Donnie Trump.
I would like to object real fast. I would love to see some actual evidence of the justice system receiving any sort of case from anyone in Providence against Think. We haven't seen this. We don't have any case. There's no way to say that it's backed up if you haven't received it in the first place. So that would be my first point of contention.
Father Miller. There's a case related to an event related to Father Miller that is still in the process of being gotten to. This is what I mean. And once that gets resolved, then we can really see how the justice system feels about the town's right to self-defense. But anyways, go on.
It's also very interesting that you accuse judges of corruption. That seems to be a very big accusation. So
I didn't say that. I didn't say corruption. I said bias.
That is corruption.
No, it's not. Definitionally, it's not. You don't have to be biased to be corrupt.
The fact of the matter is, they're supposed to be unbiased judges, and to posit that they are in fact biased would be corruption of the judges.
Okay, and
Anyway, that's my piece.
a member of the audience, a justice of our court, has asked to speak. Justice Mound. Go ahead.
I would like to say first and foremost that I do not appreciate the disrespectful comments from Mr. McHale towards the great institutions of our republic. Second of all, I would like to say that yes, there's a case that has been filed against Father Miller from Senator Nicola, and we are trying very hard to schedule it. However, it is pretty hard when they have very different schedules, and we're very hard at work to try and find a time that will work for both of them for a court hearing.
Thank you.
Also, just to be clear, it's the state of Faro versus Father Miller. I'm not suing anybody.
I was just saying that it involved
Right.
Father Miller. That is all.
That seems like a pretty important point, though, that it's not actually Nicola against Father Miller, it's the
Yes.
state of Faro.
It's actually, yes, it's Father Miller being prosecuted for allegedly assaulting a senator.
It's pretty important.
And that's not the only blood that's been spilled in Providence related to that senator over the past few days.
If you have any crimes, please by any means report it to either the premier or the censor to be filed as a criminal case.
That is a very important thing to do.
If you do not report crime, it might as well have never happened.
Of course.
Alright, and now I will look for the next question. Alright, so what will you do to help industrialize this nation and bring it to prosperity? Mikhail first.
Alright, finally a much lighter topic. So, as controversial as Ashton's legacy on social policies was, their policy on infrastructure was nothing short of triumphant in terms of its success. The high-speed rail between the various cities of the north has been a great success. It's been very well received by various people, and I pledge that the United Party in government, and even if we do end up losing, we will still put in the effort to continue this project and expanding it into places like Khakassia and Liberty City, Nova City, and as far as Ostad, if that is possible. As well as that, we want to create a national transportation board in order to allocate resources and coordinate plans to build not only railroads but canals, which is something that this nation has sort of neglected, at least outside of the smaller ones that you'll see in the rivers and inland. There is a big missed opportunity in terms of the ability to move large cargo ships inland to serve the larger cities such as Liberty City that are further from the coast, that I believe should be addressed. And well, that does not directly tie to industrialization per se. It is a hallmark of economic modernization that we create this transit, because otherwise, I mean, people walking between cities that's dangerous, and it's slow when compared to the rail, and especially when compared to the ocean-going methods. That is all.
And now Novak.
I would like to quickly respond to Mr. Gilder's point, or John McHale's point about starting their own, I guess, ministry to do some infrastructure work. I would like to point out that we actually did pass this already with the Beauty Act, where we will have it's also known as the MAID Act, where we'll have some infrastructure built all across Faru. It's really just the job of the president to get that minister appointed and get that going. Ideally, we were going to have a Cossack work on that, especially with their great work with their own base. But
that is true.
But if that doesn't happen, we'll hire someone that's just as good at the job, that's ready to do it. So what I'm trying to say is that we already have something in place.
Sit down, you child.
Who said that?
Why is he taking his armor on? Why is he putting his armor on?
What's happening?
I'm just walking around.
I guess I'll move on. As part of industrializing the nation and bringing prosperity, I actually have 2 bills that I am ready to push to the public assembly as soon as I am sworn in as president. That would be the Watch the Skies Act and the Foreign Villager Free Trade Agreement. Both of these acts will serve to industrialize the nation and really, kick builders into gear as far as getting stuff done. Part of that is reindustrializing our military, starting in Air Force, getting a nice Zeppelin built. That would be a very good part. The other thing is with the Foreign Villager Free Trade Agreement. That would be getting a nationalized villager hall for people to trade at if they so need. It wouldn't be as great as some of the private villager trading halls, such as the one we have in Urbis or the one in Sphinx, but it would certainly, help the average player out. So, not to mention that libcons have already passed the Labor and Bread Act in the past, so we do have a history of getting things done. That's all.
All right. Mikhail, would you like to respond?
Sorry, I was trying to find the Beauty Act, the document to look at, and I can't find it. Yeah, if you could post that, I'd appreciate that. Because frankly, I think that me and Novak probably agree on most of these points about increasing trading.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I just like to look at the act and see if there's any points.
Yeah, so I Discord.
If you want to move on to another topic while I'm looking through this, then that's okay. 'Cause I don't want to slow things down.
All right, so the next topic would be who you would, especially with our former Minister of Defense dead, right? Who would you appoint as the Minister of Defense, Novak?
So, I will admit to everyone here that this was an incredibly difficult decision to make. To be frank, we don't have a lot of people that are gearing up to become the Minister of Defense in replacement of our great Ashton Lutwitz. However, I have been given some suggestions by my council. I've actually heard this name a number of times, which I will admit has surprised me. But, due to popular demands, I would like to institute Bistok as our Minister of Defense. Now, I am not super, big on this. I've never been a fan of them myself. But if I were to hear input from my constituents, I would absolutely change this position.
There's no guarantee of that, though.
Correct. No guarantee of Bistok becoming the Minister of Defense, I should clarify.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's a very, very tough position to fill. I will say, the Minister of Defense. And a very essential position if we are to ensure the security of this nation. Now, this may seem like a very biased decision, and while this is obviously up to be changed, and I'm not going to pledge that this will definitely happen, one of my colleagues, Derpy, a fellow Gilgarian, did go to War College and was employed in wars in that country. And so he would probably be my first choice. Obviously, as with Bistok, this is a preliminary nomination. This is something that has to be spoken about in the party, and it's something that has to be thought about. But I just think I just don't feel good about someone Bistok, somebody. I mean, I don't know.
Permission to respond.
1 second. Someone in the audience wanted to talk.
Yes, Derpy, who is notoriously taken out a hit on a foreign citizen in the past.
Sir, you've assaulted multiple people in this country as well.
I've
Don't talk
assaulted
to
one
me
per-
about who's.
I've allegedly
Killed
assaulted
a man
one person.
inside the church.
Who?
Let he who is without sin cast the first stone, gentlemen.
Who said that?
That is all.
That's not in the Bible.
I think we should make some
Okay, move on to,
clarifications.
the
As far
response.
to clarify with the Bistok nomination, I think it is important to note that this is input that I have received from my friends in the Cossack Nation. This was their supposed olive branch to, I guess, offer peace between our peoples by allowing some of their people into our government. And this is a way to do it. I'm not saying it's the way to do it, but if we had more people that were willing to step up and take this role of Minister of Defense, then by all means I'll have to accept it. Otherwise, I agree with all of you that we shouldn't have such a firebrand as our Minister of Defense. They should be a Minister of Defense, not a Minister of Offense. And that is something that I will strive to achieve as soon as I gain office. But people actually have to step up and look for these roles. And so far, we have not seen that. And that's all I have to say.
I would like to ask Novak a specific question. Is there a specific Cossack who recommended Bistok to you? Was it Deep Stereo? Was it somebody else? I'm just wondering out of curiosity.
I received this information from the lawyer that represented the Cossacks during the peace talks.
Okay. That's all right. I don't have any issue with that. I just find that things are so raw with the Cossacks right now that I just can't fully trust a nomination from somebody within that government, because as much as I respect all of the people of Cheva Praja, I still have my reservations about the administration, the same one that went to war with this government and the same one that we had to compromise with, that we had such trouble with. That is all.
We do have to understand that Ashton was actually the first one to consider appointing Bistok to this position. Before they retired, I guess as they were retiring as general, that was the person that they put in that position. And regardless of whether or not that was made with a sane mind, might I add, that is the decision that they made, and that's also the decision that the Cossacks would like me to make. So it's something to consider that maybe this is a position for them to grow in. Maybe this is something that they're going to be best at. But I do agree that all the facts have to be looked at with this situation.
Yeah. I mean, personally, if depending on how things turn out for me, it might end up the same way. I might end up choosing Bistok. I just think that it's such a radical choice, and I wasn't even sure when Ashley put him forward that it was the right choice, and this definitely seems like reservations that you have. So I implore that guys, come on.
You guys are so mature.
But look, this is not an easy decision to make. All right, guys?
Exactly.
This is not a decision, and you're calling me spineless. Novak has the same reservations that I do about this guy. Okay? So, if you're gonna call somebody spineless, at least distribute it evenly. There you go.
Alright, so the next question would be, continuing on the asking about who you might want appointed. Who would you appoint as censor and for judges when that comes? Mikhail first.
So, could I ask... can I ask who the current censor is? I'm not fully familiar with this position.
I'm sorry. Ask it.
Who is the censor?
The censor right now is someone named 4X, who is someone that won. Do you understand what the role is?
No, I don't fully understand what the role is.
Okay, so the role is there to making sure that a senator, should they commit a crime, they can be prosecuted, and so this role is that senator, and it also handles various major cases where the Yeah, right.
So this is something that is a very important position, especially for the people of Providence, as we have had our issues with senators in the past. I personally would nominate Jerry Atrick, the librarian. So Shark, unlike many in the town, is not a very front-facing public figure. They aren't terribly controversial, and I trust their judgment as a neutral arbiter of the yeah, dude, it's kind of all the armor in here is kind of creeping me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
I would like to ask the members to remove your armor at this time. Thank you.
But this obviously is also a very important position, and if more suitable candidates appear, then obviously we'll have to consider that. But that is my judgment as somebody who has known Jerry for a very long time, somebody who trusts their judgment, and so I believe him to be the kind of neutral arbiter that you would need in such a position.
All right. And so now, Novak.
As far as appointing a censor, I've actually considered this a number of times. I haven't personally met 4X myself. I've heard they've done, I guess, decently in the role, although I haven't seen them around very much. But you know, if it was recommended to me, I would reappoint them as censor. Barring that, I have spoken about this briefly, but I have considered Aesel to be the censor for this position. Even though they are not part of the same party, I do trust their ability to look at the law and use it the right way, I suppose, and prosecute people as they should be. So I think they would be a very good censor in that position. As far as judges go, I've actually looked through this a number of times, and I actually would reappoint the judges that we have now. They've done a very good job. They've very much shown that they can be impartial to the law, and they're hard workers. So, I mean, we got it right the first time, so why fix it?
I think that's a fair
Thank
fair
you.
assessment as well. As much as I say that the people in Providence might think that the judges are biased, I would have to actually see that first before I would have to make any executive decisions. But I have no issues with the current judges on a particular issues. I frankly, I apologize to Aesel. I was not familiar with them. I remember been sort of MIA for a little while. I'm not familiar with them. They would obviously be in consideration as a member of the United Party. Again, that's not a position that's set in stone.
To be fair to both of us, there's been very little time to do some campaigning and figure out who we want for these positions. So
No.
we're both
I
kind of
found
running on
out-
fumes here.
Yeah, I found out that I was going to be here literally when I woke up this morning, so
Yeah, absolutely.
it's been a little bit rough.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the rushed nature of the debate, but it's still being well attended, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, and now comes the question about the usage of the presidential powers to veto legislation in the Senate, to even potentially dissolve the Senate. How would you use these powers?
So this is a presidential republic in my mind. there's a very clear separation of powers between the Senate and the presidency and the judiciary. So the idea of dissolving the Senate, vetoing bills, obviously, it would have to be a very, very dire set of circumstances in order to actually go through with that. I mean, you would have to have like a total rebellion in the Senate, essentially. Just absolute non-cooperation to the point that not only is my agenda or the party's agenda unable to be put through, but just basic things, appointments, just complete dysfunction. I would not go through with dissolving the Senate unless there was complete dysfunction within the government, which in our current system seems quite unlikely. In terms of the veto, there hasn't seemed to have been any particularly awful bills put through the Senate that have actually been voted in that the president has had to veto. I don't suppose that would change if any bill seemed super egregious, things that violated people's rights to liberty, things that infringed on towns' rights to govern themselves, things that infringed on people's rights of expression, just basically things that would probably anyway get struck down by the courts. That's the sort of stuff that I would probably veto if push came to shove. I don't expect that would be passed by the Senate. I trust in the Senate, even as some of its members have been problematic for friends of mine. I trust that in general and as legislators, that they will do their job.
Thank you. Now, Novak.
I'd just like to say that the abilities of the president are designed to be limited as to prevent too much unnecessary interference in democracy.
Exactly.
However, occasionally, elected officials lose sight of what their constituency desires. I would use my veto
We need
power
a change in this
explicitly
town!
to keep
We need a
elected
change in
officials
this
on
nation!
track
Be
with
quiet.
what the
Quiet
people
down,
want.
quiet down.
We do not agree with your policies!
Shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut up.
Ooh.
I would also use the veto if whatever is being vetoed directly threatens our democracy and peace.
Revolution!
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh God.
No. Fuck. Oh, Jesus
who fucking-
Christ.
Did I just get RDM'd?
No,
You
you got character death.
assassinated, my friend.
Who is the
It was a planned character death, my
the
friend.
assassin get killed?
Oh, God.
The assassin is dead. If I'm dead, the assassin's dead.
These are your people. These are your
I
people,
did not
Mikhail.
ask for this.
Jesus.
I am not a
The
dictator over these people.
No,
Let
that,
it be
no,
known,
that,
if
no,
you
that,
vote Mikhail, you vote for this kind of violence
This is
every
Yeah,
day.
That's
retribution
not
for his
true.
idea. This is
That's
retribution
slander.
for
If you
Nicholas
vote for
Cage.
the liberal
Vote
conservatives,
Mikhail
you vote
for
for
murder.
oppression.
if you vote for
vote
Mikhail, you
Mikhail,
vote
You vote
for
liberal
violence every
conservative,
day.
you
You vote
vote
for
for
terror.
ethnic violence.
You vote for
Well,
for
clearly,
assassination.
you guys are doing more violence.
This is
than
not
we
a
are.
result of me. This is a result of your policies. This is a result of the
It's your
liberal
guy.
establishment.
It's your guy. It's
I
your
didn't ask for
lackey.
this. And
You were
honestly,
You were at the meeting, the Grey Panther meeting. You have.
we didn't agree to do this. We agreed
Yes,
to
you did.
self-defense.
You
Did you
agreed-
read the? You read the terms.
You enfranchised
You-
the terrorist paramilitary.
They weren't. It's not a terrorist paramilitary. It's a
That's
defense
definitionally what it
organization.
is.
Its leader
It's
just
definitionally
killed.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what you would say. That's exactly what
They-
you would
they
say because that
assassinated-
you're the point.
They assassinated a.
Okay, so are we safe once again? Are we safe yet? Are we?
Yeah, it's my ghost. My ghost is speaking.
I'm fucking arguing with a ghost. How about
Okay.
that?
Do we want? Do we
Uh,
want
I
to
gu- I
continue
guess the
the
event-
debate?
Is it worth
No,
continuing?
I think,
this is
generally
enough.
speaking, you would.
I
debate
think-
I
it.
can't
don't
in
want-
Good,
I
I
don't-
can't in good conscience continue this debate when we have someone that supports an assassin as our minister of defense.
Hey, I'm not. You sure
Well-
Bistock is so clean either?
They killed a senator within these halls during this debate.
I don't think he could appoint Derpy as Minister of Defense, not that Derpy is dead.
I at least showed that I had reservations about Bistock, but you were fully set on.
I
Derpy
was
set.
not fully set. That's not true. I told you. I said that it was a position of great importance. That he was the first person that came to mind because of his service in the wars and his tenets of War College. I did not say. I realized when I said it how controversial and how problematic it could possibly be. And now obviously I see that it was wrong. So that's me. That's on me. But
This is why a gang of goons, a gang of armed goons, the Grey Panthers, they have to be illegalized. They have to be stopped. We cannot allow this kind of violence to continue in this nation. It will splinter
But
us.
you know
apart.
what's... Yeah. You're right. The Grey Panthers aren't supposed to function like this. They're supposed to be a defense organization.
But that's
and
how
they're
they
supposed to
do
be...
function. That it may not be how they're supposed to function, but that is what they have historically continued to function as.
Well, it's not a function that I endorsed, so...
Your endorsement
not a
doesn't matter
function.
because they will do it anyways.
Exactly.
If you can't
that's
get
the
them under
issue.
control, then this is how it's going to be.
Crashed our whole debate meeting, man. Fucked up. Did 6 foundations.
I think this
God
debate's
damn
done.
it. Yeah, this debate's fucking over.
I guess so.